Hello! In this video, I want to look at the song Radio Gaga and how it builds tension in its pre-chorus using functional harmony. So the pre-chorus is the part that sits in between the verse and the chorus. It usually divides the two and it builds tension from the verse towards the chorus. And Radio Gaga is a song that uses functional harmony to build that tension in the pre-chorus towards the chorus. So let's have a look at that now. First, here's the part that we're talking about. Let's listen to it. You can hear that it gradually builds tension from the beginning of the pre-chorus towards the end until it finally gets into the chorus. In music, like in life, it's always that alternation between tension and release. Without that, there is no life and no music at all. So we will look at one option, how we can build tension and release. And this option here is functional harmony. Tension and release usually build a kind of arc, like a curve, where you go from release to tension, back to release to tension. A good example to see that at work is the typical Hollywood movie, the story of a Hollywood movie. The hero starts in his settled environment and everything is fine. There's not much tension. Then something disrupts his world and he gets the call to adventure, building tension as he leaves his known environment. Tension then increases further until it finally climaxes when the hero has to save the entire world. And of course he succeeds and the tension quickly subsides. Everyone relaxes and we have a typical Hollywood happy ending. So we know how to build tension in a movie, in a story. But how do we build tension in a song? In functional harmony, we have three main functions. One function with low or no tension at all. This one is called the tonic. Another function with some tension called the subdominant. And we have a third function with a lot of tension called the dominant. Different chords can play these functions, but we'll just focus on the three main functions here. So let's look at Radio Gaga and how it uses these functions to create an arc of tension in the pre-chorus. So the pre-chorus starts on the tonic function, which has no tension at all. It then moves to another tonic function, increasing the tension just a little bit. Next, we move to the subdominant function, adding more tension. Now we see a dominant function to add a lot of tension. The song then stays on the dominant function for several chords. Letting us crave the final release, which then happens with the first chord of the chorus by briefly stating a subdominant function and then returning to the relaxing tonic. The happy ending of the pre-chorus story, which is the chorus. let me explain in more detail how the exact chords of the pre-chorus relate to their functions in functional harmony here. The first chord is just a regular tonic function, the F major chord in the F major key. The next tonic function then is interesting. This is a borrowed chord from the parallel minor key. The parallel minor key of F major is F minor. And here we have an F minor 6 chord with the third in the bass. Using chords from a parallel key is always an option. Then we move to a regular subdominant function. The main subdominant function is always the major chord on the 4th scale degree, which is a B flat major chord in the key of F major. The next chord is our first dominant function. And it is an interesting one because it is a double dominant. Double dominant means that it's the dominant of the dominant. So we are in the key of F major. The dominant in the key of F major is on the 5th scale degree, so is C major. And if we would take that C major dominant again as a tonic of a different key and would try to find the dominant for this C major chord, then we would have to go up to its 5th scale degree, which is G. So the G major chord, or the G dominant chord here, is the dominant of F major. This is yet again a nice application of the cycle of fifth, because theoretically you can move through the whole cycle of fifth by moving from a dominant to its tonic, then interpreting that tonic as yet another dominant to another key, move down another fifth, and so on until you circle around the whole circle of fifth. The next chord is then a regular dominant, or you could see it as the tonic to the double dominant that we had before. But in the key of F major, this C chord is a dominant chord. It is a special dominant chord that is called a 6/4 chord. 6/4 because you kind of have the F major chord over the bass note of C, which essentially makes it a kind of sus4 chord and has a fourth in it and a sixth in it. That's why it's called 6/4 chord. And then we resolve a little bit of the tension and move to another dominant function, which is a C7 sus4 chord. So we resolve the sixth that we had in the chord before down to the fifth of C major, but we add the seventh. So we get a regular C7 sus4 chord, which is a pretty common chord for the dominant function. The next chord then resolves the suspended fourth to the third of the chord, and we have a regular C dominant chord. And then we begin to decrease tension and to use a plagal cadence, inserting the subdominant again to release some tension, and then returning to the regular tonic, which is the F major chord. You can build arcs of tension in your own songs in much the same way. Use the main functions of functional harmony to build arcs of tension in whatever shape you like. If you want to know more about functional harmony, about which chords can play which function, and what else we have beside the main functions, then please check out my in-depth video on functional harmony. That's it for today. I hope you could learn something. Now go out, play great music, and write fantastic songs.